Raster graphics versus vector graphics, what's the difference? Hey folks, and welcome along to another video. Today we're going to talk about the difference between raster graphics and vector graphics, because it's important that you can tell the difference when you're working with images and logos, and these different file formats can have a massive impact on your final output. Let's start with a raster graphic. Now, a raster graphic is made up of a set grid of pixels. So each pixel has a little bit of information which makes up your image. So let's say you have a 250 pixel square photograph of a flower, but you need to make that flower image 500 pixels square. So you take the image into your computer and increase the size of the image. What your computer does is it takes the 250 pixels that you have and it stretches them so that it will fill a new 500 pixel space. But in doing that, what you end up with is a blurred image. Raster graphics aren't the best for enlarging of images. File formats that you will associate with a raster image are PNG files, GIF files, JPEG files, and TIFFs. Now, vectors, on the other hand, are completely different to rasters because they're made up of lines and points, almost mathematical equations. And because they're made up of lines and points and not pixels, it means that if you resize a vector image, all that's happening is that your computer just needs to readjust the equation for the lines and the points to make the image bigger. And by doing so, that means that your image will always remain pin sharp no matter what size you change your vector graphic to. File formats that you'll associate with a vector would be EPS, SVG, and PDF. Now, a quick thing about PDFs. In the majority, a PDF file will be a vector, but you can still save a raster image as a PDF file. What this will not do though is change your raster image into a vector. So please be aware of that when you're saving out your raster images. What I've done is to give you a visual example. I've recorded this little screen capture to show you what happens when you zoom in and out of vectors and raster graphics. Okay, so let's take a look at a vector graphic next to a raster graphic. Over here on the left, we have the vector graphic, and over here on the right, we have the raster graphic. Now, looking at these two side by side, they both look very, very sharp and very, very clear. But if we decide that we want to increase the size of each of these images, this is where we'll see the difference between a raster graphic and a vector graphic. So let's zoom in onto the vector graphic first of all. And this is the equivalent of increasing the size. So let's zoom in on an area here. As you can see, this is still all incredibly sharp, even though we are now at almost or just over 900% of the original size that we were looking at a moment ago. If we now zoom in to the raster graphic, here we're over 900% again. You can see the difference. You can see how the computers had to fill in a lot of the space with extra pixels. And depending on the monitor you're viewing this video on, inside of here, it's a mishmash of different colored blues, light blues and dark blues, and the outside line is all jagged. It's not smooth at all. So it shows you that wherever you can, try to use vector graphics, especially when it comes to flat color and things like your logo, whereas raster graphics are much better suited to highly detailed photographs. That's where you would use a raster graphic. So there you have it, a really quick video on vector and raster graphics. I hope it's cleared up any mystery that you might have had between the two different formats. If you found this video useful, please give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel to make sure that you're informed of any new videos that I have, and also to catch up on any that I have in my current library. Until I see you next time, stay creative.